The elevator doors slid open before the chime finished ringing, and Kang Jae-ho stepped out mid-motion, jacket already coming off his shoulders, phone still pressed to his ear. "Cancel the dinner," he said sharply. "I'm home." "But sir, the investors. I said cancel." He ended the call and walked straight through the marble-floored lobby of his Seoul mansion, his footsteps fast, controlled, purposeful. He wasn't supposed to be home for another 4 hours. His wife, Yura, had texted him earlier, "Charity board dinner, late night, don't wait up." The kind of message he usually skimmed and forgot. But 30 minutes ago, in the back of a moving car, something had twisted hard in his chest for no logical reason at all. Now he knew why. The house was alive. Music drifted faintly from upstairs. Soft laughter followed, light and careless. Lights were on in rooms that were never used at night. For a man who had survived hostile takeovers, assassination, attempts, and blood-soaked boardroom wars. The sensation crawling up his spine wasn't fear. It was betrayal. Jae-ho loosened his tie as he crossed the living room, every sense sharpening. He moved quietly now, instincts from a past he never spoke about taking over. The sound came again, laughter, unmistakably his wife's, followed by a man's voice, confident, relaxed, familiar, his jaw locked. He took the stairs 2 at a time, stopping just short of the master bedroom hallway. The door to his bedroom was partially open, and that was when he heard it clearly. Yura's voice, breathless and intimate, a man chuckling low, close. Jae-ho's hand slid inside his jacket, fingers brushing the cold reassurance of the gun he hadn't needed in years. The world narrowed to a single point, the door, the voices, the heat roaring in his ears. He took 1 step forward. A hand grabbed his arm and yanked him hard into the shadows. "Be quiet." The whisper was urgent, trembling, but unyielding. Jae-ho spun, fury already rising, until he saw her. It was the maid, the new one, the black girl his wife had hired months ago. Always silent, always invisible. Her eyes were wide, dark, and locked onto his with something that wasn't fear alone. It was resolve. "Sir, please," she whispered again, pressing a finger to her lips. "If you love your life, don't go in there." The words hit harder than a slap. Jae-ho froze. Behind them, the laughter continued. "Who are you to touch me?" he hissed under his breath. "My name is Aisha," she said quickly, "and your wife is not just cheating on you." His chest tightened. "She's selling you." Silence slammed down between them. If you're new here, welcome back to the Afro-Korean channel, where powerful love stories collide with betrayal, justice, and redemption. And to our returning subscribers, thank you for being part of this family. Compliments of the season to every single one of you watching. May this time bring you peace, clarity, and unexpected blessings. Now stay with us, because this story will change everything. Aisha pulled him farther down the hall, into the narrow space beside the service stairs. Her hand shook against his sleeve, but her voice didn't. "They're not lovers," she continued. "At least not the way you think. The man in that room is a broker, a buyer." Jae-ho stared at her, rage and disbelief warring in his expression. "Explain," he whispered. Even quiet, his voice carried authority. She swallowed. "Your wife has been feeding him information, contracts, private mergers, bank access codes. Tonight was supposed to be a test." "A test for what?" "For how easily she can distract you," Aisha said. "For how blind you are." Something dangerous flickered behind Jae-ho's eyes. "And how do you know this?" "Because I clean the rooms people forget are connected," she replied. "Because vents carry sound. Because she thinks I'm too stupid to understand English business terms. And because she talks when she thinks power makes her untouchable." A laugh burst from the bedroom, louder now. A man's voice said something about Christmas being perfect timing. Jae-ho went still. "What's planned for Christmas?" he asked. Aisha hesitated, then looked up at him. "Your downfall, or your funeral." The words landed like a gunshot. He studied her face, really studied it. No hysteria, no exaggeration, just raw urgency, truth. You could have gone to the police, he said quietly. She shook her head. Your wife owns them. You could have left. I tried, she admitted. She canceled my visa paperwork. That earned his full attention. Aisha continued, faster now. She's planning to frame you for financial crimes tied to a foreign syndicate. Once the money is moved, she'll leak the documents. The man upstairs leaves tonight. On Christmas, something accidental happens to you. Heart attack, stress, tragic. Jae-ho closed his eyes for a fraction of a second. When he opened them, the storm inside him had settled into something colder, sharper. How long have you known? He asked. 3 weeks. Why tell me now? Aisha met his gaze without flinching. Because tonight she crossed a line, and because I needed to know if you were the kind of man worth saving. That should have angered him. Instead, it intrigued him. Another burst of laughter floated down the hall, the sound of a glass clinking. Jae-ho leaned closer to Aisha, his voice barely audible. If you're lying, you die. Her breath hitched. I know. If you're telling the truth, he continued, everything changes. I know that too. He straightened. Show me proof. Aisha nodded. Not yet. Not here. Cameras are everywhere, but not where she thinks. I can get you evidence. Clean evidence. When? Tonight. Jae-ho glanced once more toward the bedroom door, then back at the woman who had just upended his world. Then we do this my way, he said. You stay invisible. You say nothing. You move when I tell you. Yes, she said instantly. And Aisha? Yes, sir? If this is real, he said, voice dropping. You just saved my life. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. He stepped away first. Downstairs, the front door opened and closed softly behind him, as if nothing had happened at all. Upstairs, Yura laughed again. Confident, careless, already celebrating a future she believed was guaranteed. If you're watching this and you think you know where this story is going, trust me, you don't. Drop a comment right now and tell me, should Kang Jae-ho confront his wife immediately or play along? And don't forget to like and subscribe, because what comes next is where the real danger begins. Behind him, in the shadows, Aisha pressed her back against the wall and exhaled for the first time in minutes. She had broken her silence, and there was no turning back. Kang Jae-ho didn't return to the house that night. Instead, his driver took a detour through the city, the car weaving through neon-lit streets, while his mind replayed every sound, every word, every breath he had overheard upstairs. By the time the car stopped at a private office tower he owned under a shell company, his anger had been reshaped into something far more dangerous, calculation. Inside the office, the lights came on one by one. Jae-ho loosened his cuffs and poured himself a drink he didn't touch. Bring Min-seok, he told his head of security over the phone, quietly. 20 minutes later, Min-seok stood across from him, face unreadable, hands folded behind his back like a soldier awaiting orders. You came home early, Min-seok said. That wasn't on the schedule. No, Jae-ho replied. It wasn't. He studied Min-seok carefully, and loyalty wasn't assumed in his world, it was tested repeatedly. I want you to pull every financial movement linked to my wife in the last 6 months, Jae-ho continued. Every account, every offshore whisper, and I want it done without triggering alarms. Min-seok's eyes narrowed. Is this about... It's about survival, Jae-ho cut in. Mine. Min-seok nodded once. Understood. When he left, Jae-ho finally exhaled and picked up his drink, swallowing it in one go. The burn did nothing to quiet the image of Aisha pressed into the shadows, whispering truths that had cracked his reality open. Was she brave? Or reckless? Or both? Back at the mansion, Aisha moved like a ghost. She cleaned rooms she'd already cleaned, her ears tuned to every sound, every shift in tone upstairs. Yura was in a radiant mood, floating through the house wrapped in silk and satisfaction, humming to herself as if the world had already bowed. You, Yura snapped suddenly, turning. Girl. Aisha stopped instantly, eyes lowered. Yes, madam? Cancel my morning appointment tomorrow, Yura said lazily. I'll be busy. Yes, madam. And Aisha, yes? Yura stepped closer, inspecting her like furniture. You've been quiet lately. Aisha's pulse jumped, but her face remained blank. I work best quietly. Yura smiled thinly. Good. Know your place. As Yura walked away, Aisha's hands curled into fists behind her back. Know your place, she repeated silently. Later that night, Aisha slipped into the linen room and locked the door. From a hidden pocket sewn into her uniform, she pulled out a small flash drive and an old phone with a cracked screen. She dialed the number Jae-ho had given her before leaving. 1 ring, 2. Yes? His voice was low, controlled. I have the first piece, she whispered. Audio. Send it. Minutes later, Jae-ho listened as his wife's voice filled the room, laughing, mocking, speaking freely about him like a pawn already removed from the board. She's so predictable, Yura's recorded voice said. Men like him always think they're untouchable. Once the money clears, I'll file the paperwork. By the time he realizes, it'll be too late. The broker laughed. And if he suspects? He won't, Yura replied. He never sees the help. Jae-ho closed his eyes. That was the moment something inside him died, and something else was born. You did well, he said into the phone, but this isn't enough yet. I know, Aisha replied. There's more. Tomorrow night, a meeting. Where? Our house. Silence stretched between them. She's hosting it, Aisha added. Private investors, dangerous ones. Jae-ho's jaw tightened. Then tomorrow night, we set the trap. If you're still watching, pause for a second and ask yourself, how would you handle betrayal at this level? Comment below, because this next part separates the weak from the ruthless. And if you haven't liked the video yet, now is the time. It helps this story reach more people who love intense drama like this. The next day unfolded like a performance. Jae-ho sent flowers to Yura, apology flowers. A handwritten note blaming work stress, promising to make it up to her after the holidays. Yura read it with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Men, she scoffed, tossing the card aside. Always begging at the end. That evening, black cars lined the driveway. Men in tailored suits and women with cold eyes filtered into the house, carrying briefcases heavier than they looked. Aisha poured drinks, head bowed, listening. Numbers, names, dates. Christmas Eve, one man said. That's the deadline. Yes, Yura replied smoothly. By then, everything will be transferred. And your husband? Yura laughed softly. He'll be grieving his company by then, or worse. The room hummed with quiet amusement. Behind a mirrored wall, cameras recorded everything. Jae-ho watched from a secure location, Min-seok standing beside him. It's all there, Min-seok said quietly. Enough to bury her. No, Jae-ho replied. Enough to expose everyone. He leaned back, eyes dark. Let them finish, he said. The higher they climb tonight, the harder they fall. Back at the mansion, Aisha's tray trembled slightly as she served the final round of drinks. Yura caught it. Careful, she warned sharply. You wouldn't want to spill anything valuable. Yes, madam, Aisha replied. Their eyes met for half a second. Yura smirked. Aisha lowered her gaze, but not before silently counting down. 3 days to Christmas. 3 days to judgment. And if you think this story is intense now, stay right here. Make sure you're subscribed, because the next batch is where alliances shift, secrets explode, and someone makes a fatal mistake. The first mistake Yura made was underestimating how quietly power could move. By morning, she was already celebrating. She stood in front of the mirror, adjusting diamond earrings Jae-ho had bought her years ago, humming softly as sunlight spilled across the bedroom. Her phone buzzed with confirmation messages, accounts syncing, signatures finalized, loyalty bought. She didn't notice the cameras blinking red. Downstairs, Aisha moved through the kitchen, heart pounding, but hands steady. Every step she took now mattered. Every word could tip the balance between survival and disaster. Her phone vibrated once in her pocket. Tonight. Final phase. Stay close to her. JH. She swallowed. Yes, madam, Aisha said as Yura entered the kitchen, sunglasses on, confidence wrapped around her like perfume. We're hosting again tonight. Yura announced. Different guests. Bigger ones? Aisha nodded. How many? Yura paused, eyeing her. You're asking questions. I need to prepare, Aisha replied calmly. You don't like mistakes. Yura smiled slowly. You're learning. She leaned in, voice dropping. After tonight, things will change around here. If you stay loyal, you might benefit. Aisha kept her expression neutral. I'm grateful, madam. Yura laughed and walked away. If only she knew. That afternoon, Jae-ho returned home, for the first time since that night. He walked in through the front door, coat draped over his arm, expression calm, controlled. The staff froze briefly, then bowed. Sir, they murmured. Yura turned from the staircase, surprise flashing across her face before she masked it. You're home early, she said lightly. So are you, Jae-ho replied, smiling. I thought we could spend time together. Her pulse quickened. Of course. They sat together in the living room, the air thick with unsaid things. You seem distracted lately, Jae-ho said casually. Is something wrong? Yura laughed. You're imagining things. Am I? He leaned closer. You know you can tell me anything. For a split second, doubt flickered in her eyes, then arrogance won. There's nothing to tell, she said. Everything is exactly as it should be. From the corner of the room, Aisha watched silently. That night, the guests arrived. These weren't businessmen pretending to be clean. These were men with scars, women with eyes that measured exits, and enemies in one glance. The house felt like a ticking bomb. Aisha served wine, every word etched into her memory. Once the husband signs the final authorization. He won't, Yura interrupted smoothly. That part is already handled. Jae-ho stood near the fireplace, listening, glass untouched in his hand. And if he resists? One man asked. Yura shrugged. Accidents happen. The room chuckled darkly. That was when Jae-ho spoke. No, he said calmly. They don't. The room went silent. Every head turned. Yura's smile froze. Jae-ho? He stepped forward, eyes cold. You've been busy. What is this? She laughed nervously. A joke? Screens lit up across the walls. Audio played, her voice, clear, mocking. Documents appeared, transactions, transfers, signatures, faces drained of color. You recorded us? Yura whispered. No, Jae-ho replied. You underestimated the wrong people. Security flooded the room. Panic erupted. One man reached for his gun. Min Seok moved faster. Within minutes, the room was chaos. Hands restrained, phones confiscated, exits blocked. Yura stared at Aisha, realization crashing down on her. You, she hissed. You did this. Aisha met her gaze, voice steady. You never saw me. Jae-ho turned to his wife. It's over. He laughed suddenly, wild, unhinged. You think this ends here? You think you win? He leaned in close. No, I survive. Police sirens wailed in the distance, real ones this time. As Yura was led away, she screamed, cursed, promised revenge. Aisha stood trembling, adrenaline crashing through her. Jae-ho approached her quietly. You were incredible. She shook her head. I was terrified. Bravery often is, he said. If you're still watching, this is where most stories end, but not this one. Comment below. Should Aisha walk away now, or stay and face what comes next? And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because the consequences of tonight are only beginning. Outside, snow began to fall. Christmas was almost here, and nothing would ever be the same. The house didn't feel like victory. After the police cars disappeared and the last of the guests were driven away in silence, the mansion settled into an uneasy stillness, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Aisha stood in the kitchen long after everyone else had gone, staring at her reflection in the darkened window. Her hands were still shaking. The adrenaline that had carried her through the night was fading, leaving exhaustion and fear behind. She had helped take down a powerful woman, and powerful women didn't disappear quietly. Jae-ho found her there. "You should rest," he said gently. "It's over." Aisha didn't turn around. "For you, maybe." He paused. "You think she'll come after you." "I know she will," Aisha replied. "People like her don't forgive. They wait." Jae-ho stepped closer. "Then you won't be alone." That made her turn. "You don't owe me anything," she said quickly. "I did what I did to survive." "And you did it at great risk to yourself," he replied. "That matters." She let out a shaky laugh. "To you. To her, I'm still nothing." Jae-ho studied her face, really studied it now, without shadows or urgency clouding his judgment. He saw the intelligence there, the restraint, the quiet strength it took to stand up in a house that had treated her like air. "You're wrong," he said. "You're not nothing. You're the reason I'm still standing." The words settled heavily between them. The next morning, the headlines exploded. "Wife of Korean business titan arrested in major financial conspiracy. Foreign syndicate exposed in Christmas Eve sting." Public sympathy swung sharply in Jae-ho's favor. Analysts praised his restraint. Commentators speculated endlessly about the mysterious insider who had helped expose the plot. No one mentioned a maid. That was deliberate. By afternoon, Jae-ho summoned Aisha to his private office. She entered cautiously, hands folded in front of her. "Sit," he said. She remained standing. "If this is about payment—" "It's about protection," he interrupted. "And choice." He slid a folder across the desk. Inside were documents, legal ones. "A new identity?" she asked quietly. "A fresh start," he corrected. "Visa, residency, education funding, whatever you choose." Her breath caught. "Why?" "Because you earned it," he said simply. "And because staying here as the maid puts a target on your back." She looked down at the papers, emotions tangling in her chest. Freedom was right there. Clean, safe, distant. "And if I don't want to run?" she asked. Jae-ho leaned back, surprised. "You want to stay?" "I want to stop being invisible," Aisha said. Running feels like letting her win in a different way. Silence stretched. Then Jae-ho smiled, small, genuine. "Then stay, but not as staff." He slid another folder forward. Her eyes widened as she read. Executive assistant, confidential liaison, salary that made her dizzy. "You're serious," she whispered. "I don't make jokes." "About trust," he replied. That night, as snow blanketed the city, Aisha stood on the balcony overlooking Seoul, wrapped in a coat Jae-ho had insisted she take. Lights glittered below like endless possibilities. "You know," he said quietly beside her, "I used to believe power was about control." "And now?" she asked. "Now I think it's about who stands with you when everything collapses." Their eyes met. Something unspoken passed between them. Unfinished, dangerous, undeniable. Inside, a phone buzzed. Min-seok's voice came through tight. "Sir, there's a problem." Jae-ho straightened. "What kind of problem?" "The case isn't as clean as we thought," Min-seok said. "Someone intervened. Evidence vanished." Aisha felt cold crawl up her spine. "Who?" Jae-ho asked. Min-seok hesitated. "Yura isn't talking, but she smiled when they told her." Jae-ho closed his eyes briefly. The war wasn't over. It had only changed shape. If you're still here, don't go anywhere. This final part decides everything. Like the video if you're feeling the tension, subscribe if you're ready for justice, and tell me in the comments, does betrayal ever truly end, or does it just evolve? Outside, church bells rang faintly. Christmas Eve had arrived, and someone was about to make their last move. The call came just after midnight. Jae-ho was awake, seated in the dark of his study, the city lights bleeding through the glass walls. Power no longer comforted him the way it once had. Tonight, it felt like a target. Aisha stood a few feet away, arms folded, listening. "Say it again," Jae-ho said into the phone. Min-seok's voice was tight. "Yura has legal counsel we didn't anticipate, international level. Someone pulled strings before the arrest paperwork finalized. She's still in custody, but not for long. Aisha's stomach dropped. How much time? Jae-ho asked. 48 hours at most. The line went dead. Silence pressed in. She planned this, Aisha said softly, even her own arrest. Yes, Jae-ho replied, which means she has a final move. As if summoned by his words, the doorbell rang. Once, slow, deliberate. Min Seok's men moved instantly, but Jae-ho raised a hand. I'll handle it. When the door opened, the man standing there wore an expensive coat and a familiar smile, the broker from the bedroom that night. You should have killed me, the man said casually. Jae-ho didn't blink. You're brave for someone standing in my house. The man's gaze slid past him, landing on Aisha. Recognition sparked. Ah, the maid. Aisha's jaw tightened. I came with an offer, the man continued. Your wife wants a conversation. She's willing to disappear quietly. No scandal, no revenge. In exchange, she walks free, Jae-ho finished. And you forget the girl exists, the man added lightly. Far eighth room went still. Jae-ho laughed. It startled everyone, including Aisha. You came all this way, Jae-ho said, stepping closer, to insult me twice in one sentence? The man's smile faltered. I don't negotiate with traitors, Jae-ho continued, and I don't erase people who save my life. He nodded once. Security moved. The broker didn't even have time to scream. Later that morning, Aisha sat alone in the study, hands clasped tightly together. Her mind replayed the encounter over and over, the casual cruelty of power brushing too close to her skin. You okay? Jae-ho asked quietly, entering. I've never been someone worth bargaining over, she admitted. You are now, he said. She looked up. What if she comes for me next? Jae-ho met her gaze. Then she'll learn what it costs. Christmas morning broke with unexpected calm. Snow softened the city. Church bells rang. The world pretended nothing was wrong. At noon, Jae-ho received a final message. Yura had signed everything. Confession, cooperation, names. In exchange, she would serve time quietly, her empire dismantled piece by piece. Her last request had been denied. She never got to see Aisha again. That evening, Jae-ho and Aisha stood in the living room where it had all begun. I can leave now, Aisha said. Start over. You can, he agreed. Or you can stay. She searched his face. As what? As yourself, he replied. Seen, protected, free. Tears burned her eyes, unexpected and overwhelming. For the first time, she believed him. Outside, fireworks lit the sky. A new year was minutes away. As the countdown echoed through the city, Aisha smiled softly. Not because the danger was gone, but because she had survived it. And this time, she wasn't invisible. If this story kept you hooked till the end, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Did justice truly win here, or is power just wearing a new face? Compliments of the season to everyone watching. May your new year bring courage, clarity, and unexpected allies. And remember, sometimes the quietest voice in the room is the one that changes everything.